how did you navigate that space? Because I don't know a single person in our industry who did not have a dip somewhere where they're like, yo, I could have done things so much better. Because when you are in the high, it feels like it's just going to continue as is.
True. I think finances is just, it's like a swear word almost. Right. It's a swear word. It's a swear word when you're black. It's a swear word when you're young. It's a swear word when you're doing well and you're
when
making
you're
all
a
this
woman.
money. And when you're a woman, it's a swear word, right? So I feel like there's so much that I didn't know that I really didn't make my business to know as well. I didn't want to know. So I kept myself out of knowing it. I was just like, we're just going to coast and get through it. Money will be money.
Yes.
Money will keep coming in.
Yes.
And we'll do whatever it is we need to do just to make sure the lights are on and all of this. But at the end of the day, I just feel like there's so much that we need to learn that I wish I had learned a little bit earlier. I wish like I had an interest when I was maybe a teenager and been like, okay, one day you're going to earn a salary. What you going to do with it?
Yes.
So that's the position I'm at now with my son, where I'm like, okay, now I'm actually going to be quite intentional about teaching him about finances early on. Let's have the conversations. Let's talk about what it means eventually. One day, you're not earning it now. Maybe it's just pocket money for now, but the principles apply. So for me, it's that. It's like saying, entertainment is what entertainment is when it comes to finances. You're always juggling. You're always trying to make sure you're staying afloat. You're always trying to balance everything out, because I think when you're making a lot of money, it's not balanced. Yeah. And then when you're not making a lot of money, it's still not balanced.
Yeah.
So you want to get to a point where whether you're making money or not, you've got some sort of balance where you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, at least let me keep one through line running through everything. Let everything just balance and be okay, whether I'm making money or not.
702.
The upside of failure.
Proof that a setback can lead to a step forward.
She's in the building. You guys don't understand how long I've been trying to get this woman on this show. Katlego Danke. What made you finally say yes? Tell us the truth.
Eventually.
The bribe worked.
The gap. When schedules open up, then it's like, okay, let's do it.
But I always believe in perfect timing. And I'm so excited to see you just because, firstly, love your work. I've told you 1,000,001 times. Secondly, you have been grinding 4 years and doing things that people are not even aware of, that they might have completely missed. But also, I mean, you have just really kept quite a steady consistency in your career, found a really good balance of keeping your private life private and always really being about the work. And I just have the utmost respect for you. Also, you're just a cool person. Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why Oleso?
No, man. I think it's just the way, I was brought up, just as my parents were always just like, listen, man, we're just people. You know what I mean? We're just people going through life, doing the things. So even when, you become a person on TV, you don't necessarily take cognizance of that every day.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You go about your life as you. You go about your life as just a normal person.
I am trying to remember before generations where you had blown up prior, because you've done so many things.
Backstage.
Yes. Yes.
It was the crazy girl.
Right. Oh my gosh. I missed that era. Why do you play Psycho so well?
Oh,
you
my
were
word.
the crazy girl.
Yeah. No. She took me on a journey that I was just like, oh my goodness, I have never seen this side of life, but okay.
Were you in Duke's world? Was Kekoto in Duke's world?
At some point,
She
had interactions with Duke. She did. Because she went on the dark side, right? At some point.
For a man. Who was she in love with? Was it Jason?
She was in love with all of KB's love interests.
Oh yes, you were dressing
yeah.
oh my God.
She was like,
oh my God. I forgot about that.
She was a stalker of note.
And you were mimicking the outfits, I remember now.
Sure.
We've been through so much.
Right? Yeah.
What did playing that type of role do for you? Your your understanding of the human brain, the human being, because we know to approach characters, you have to not judge them, else you can't play them.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we're privileged now in this day and age to be talking about mental health, to be
Yes.
talking about what it means, all of that, all those definitions and all that whole world has opened up for us in a new way. At that time, people weren't as, open and honest about it. We weren't having these conversations.
Yeah.
So it was something that I literally had to go and research. I had to go and find out, what is this about? Like, okay, when somebody has multiple personality disorder, what does that mean? And that when that world opened up for me, I was just like, I mean, I understood her in a way where I was just like, shame, man.
Yeah.
She's got so much stacked up against her. And she's just a girl trying to get through life, making the wrong choices here and there. But she's just a girl going through life in a tough world, So it was an interesting opening to the industry, because it was literally like deep end acting
Yes.
101. Deep end.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you are now having to carry, I think she had 5 or 6 multiple personalities,
Yes.
right? That I had to switch between. So I had to know who she is, and then I had to know all these other characters that she would switch into.
And also know what triggers bring out which characters.
Absolutely. So that opened up a whole world for me that I was just like, oh. Needless to say, I was exhausted every day when I went home. It was just exhausting.
You know, it crossed my mind, and it's just giving me such goosebumps when I think about that era of Backstage and how many soldiers we lost along the way.
Sure.
And from your Marubini,
Oh,
Precious Simelani, I think the character, she played the character
Jason as well.
Jason, yes.
There were a few. There was Sibusiso, Usbu.
Oh
we
my
lost
gosh,
Sbu, the
Radebe,
dancer,
yes.
So we lost a few, and it was, now that you look back on it, it was just like, wow, these were literally pioneers in the industry. I mean, we had never had a show about young people played
Right.
by the youth themselves at that time.
That were
So
actually
that was,
the triple threats at the time. You all had to sing
Absolutely.
and dance and act because that's the school you were in.
That's the school. So that was groundbreaking stuff. And to be involved with that at that stage of my career, I think was just such a blessing, because I was just like, oh, there's this, there are all these people in the industry going through it at the same age that I'm at, because normally you get onto sets and you're the youngest.
Yes.
At that age. You've just graduated, you're fresh, bushy-eyed,
Yes.
you're sitting there waiting. You can't wait for this first assignment, and you get there and you're the youngest. So this time it was like, oh no, we're all
with
young.
my peers, yes.
We're all young, So it was great. It was amazing.
How different was that transition to, we know that Soapy becomes like a sausage factory. And for those who aren't in the business, what we mean by that is it becomes like a factory machine. There isn't enough time to be sitting and crafting. You're chasing volumes of scenes in a day. How was that transition once you now understood what Soapy World was, but also the fame that came with it? Because there was a time where Generations was the most watched, and the level of fame was people were judging you based on what your character was doing.
True. It was very hectic, but I have to say, I had Baby Kele on set.
Yes.
when I was doing Backstage. I was doing Umam Grace,
Yes.
Mahlaba, and those were the kind of women who literally, as you were going through your first few moments on screen, or first few moments being recognized, or first few moments of this entire industry, they would walk with you, and they would, give you pointers here and there and tips, and just be like, keep yourself grounded and do this and do that. So by the time, I was just blessed, because by the time Generations came, I'd had preparation. I'd been prepared for that. I'd been told that this is what's going to happen. And you know what? You can get through it.
And you got this.
If you just keep your head, screwed on straight, and you just keep marching on. You just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about what they're doing, what they're saying. Don't worry about the gossip papers and the this and the that. just do what you do it to the best of your abilities, and you'll make it.
The upside of failure, 21 minutes after 2 o'clock. We're with actress Katlego Danke. Why am I reading all these voiceover things, thing?
How? Wait,
Like, girl,
You
do
could just
people
hand them
know
over.
what an amazing voiceover artist you are?
they're probably tired of hearing my voice now.
Listen, skaba hemisa.
Heish.
Don't let them breathe. I had forgotten, but I remembered when we were just talking about radio things, that there was a period that you were on Metro FM
Correct?
and you were doing night slots.
Yes.
Were you acting during the day at the same time?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, how?
And going to Wits Business School.
What?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell us
Yes, ma'am.
everything. Yeah.
It was a very hectic year. I just had, a wish to be able to do radio at some point. The bug had bit. I was like, I love the idea of radio. I love, the theater of just
Yes.
voices playing and the imagination of just what's happening and all of that. And I thought, I want to do radio. So I went and I applied, and they said, luckily for me, they said, okay, no, it's fine. You can come through and do graveyard. So there I was pushing graveyard. And then unfortunately, I had also applied to business school, and they also said, you can
Yes,
come
come
through.
through.
Come through. So there I was juggling all three, 6 to 6 on set, business school and graveyard shift on Metro at the same time.
What did that experience of stretching yourself very thinly teach you?
It taught me that I can. That's the first thing. Because, when I think about it just off the top of my head, even now, I'm probably like, no, that's a lot. That is too much on my plate. But I needed to find the reserves within me and just say, you know what? You can actually do this. You can actually, if you plan your life better, balance, which is actually what I needed to learn. Because I'm a person who kind of goes on the fly.
Yes.
And I allow life to sort of take me down its journey. So this time I had to be very intentional about it. I had to say, okay, I can only do this. Guys, I can't do funerals for the next however many weeks, that I'm in school. I cannot do family funerals. So I needed to get people to understand that there's a lot of things I had to sacrifice along the way. But it was the idea that I needed to plan and have balance. That's what I needed to learn in that moment.
And the part you're not even mentioning, which I know people are not necessarily thinking about, is that even though you're on set 6 to 6, you still have to learn lines at home.
Oh,
so
yes.
you still had homework over and above, business school, over and above doing graveyard shift. Did you do the cheat method of memorizing lines? My cheat method was to put it in my short-term memory store, to the point that when the scene played later, 6 weeks later, I don't even remember saying those lines because it was not in my hard drive. Is that what you did?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was survival instincts on like steroids, right? So I needed to just find a way to get through it, get through each and every single thing that I needed to do for that day. So it was like energy drinks at night. It was, everything was just on full cylinders. But we made it. Here I am.
So opasite.
Get passes,
And
of course.
I
wouldn't be my
for you.
father's child if I didn't pass.
You sound like my dad. Whenever I'd pass, he'd be like, "You're my child, of course."
Hey, there's no choice.
What made you say, I can't do all of this all the time? Like, what was the moment that you're like, something has to give? Because at some point, you stopped being on radio.
So I needed to be kinder to myself. I needed to actually understand that, okay, for a short period of time, you can do that and go on all cylinders. That's okay. But it is a short-term thing. It's not something you're going to sustain consistently over a long period of time. And also your quality of life is going to suffer. So I needed to understand that, no, okay, I've missed a few family functions, but eventually you're going to have to be part of this family at some point, and show up for stuff and show up for people. So I needed to know that, okay, something's got to give.
Yeah.
You've got to, okay, fortunately, the period of studying was for short term. So that lasted shortly. But then, the work at work, Generations was just this sausage factory, as you call
Yeah.
it. It was going, it's going. So I needed to be kinder to myself to say, okay, what do I need in order to survive this? Because
Yes.
it's a lot. 6 to 6, 12 hours a day is a lot to ask of a person. It's a
Why
lot.
do I feel like you're those actors like Joaquin Phoenix who never watches themselves when the product is out?
I don't typically.
Why?
I struggle to watch. I watch every once in a while just to be like, especially if it's a scene that I was like, ooh, I don't
Yes.
know about that scene. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. So then I'll quickly go and watch it just to see if it came out all right. But yeah, it feels weird. It feels surreal to watch yourself. We force ourselves to, of course, because I mean, the only
Yes.
way you're going to learn is if you watch your own work and if you critique your own work. But as they say, you are your own biggest critic.
Yeah.
So when you're watching your work, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe, oh no, did I?
Did
Was
they
that
choose
me?
that take?
Why did they choose that take? I look the worst in that take, I didn't bring this. Oh, I knew I should have said this instead of
Yes.
this. So you are your own worst critic, and you sit there and you cringe through those moments, but they are necessary. So every once in a while I do, but I do not enjoy it. I really, really don't enjoy it. It just feels weird.
You mentioned Papa. I need to know more about Papa. Are you a daddy's girl or mama's girl?
I'm a daddy's girl. Full on daddy's girl. Full on. So my dad is my dude, man. He's my dude. We sit down and we have these intellectual conversations. All of the big English words that I've ever learned are traced back to my dad.
Really?
Yes, conversations with him because he is like a walking encyclopedia.
Wow.
So whenever I have conversations with him, I'm always like, why did he say that word? Okay, I got to go and check it up.
Do you guys call him prof at home?
No, they don't. But purely because he doesn't take himself that serious. It's the weirdest, contradiction. Because he's such a very serious person, very, very. I mean, he was a public servant in his life, so he was an ambassador. He's very, very serious. But with us and the way that he interacts with us, and even I suppose even with other people, like he makes sure that he comes at you in a way that you can relate to him. He's very relatable. So even though there's these big bombastic words that'll come out of him, and he's got the stature and the status.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we relate and we chat and we chill.
Do you feel like the A-type personality in you, the perfectionist in you, is there because you really wanted to live up to and impress Papa?
Absolutely 100%. I mean, he's the kind of parent who would say to me particularly, because I don't think I remember him saying this to my siblings. So we've got very different childhoods,
Yes.
even though we lived in the same house.
Yes.
But I remember him saying, you'll come home with like an 80%. And he's like, 80? What happened to the 20?
Are your dad and my dad the same person?
Right?
I need to know. And my dad's actually at my house right now. So I need to be like, yay. You and this man, we need to see, because I've never seen you and Katlego Danke's dad in the same room
Maybe
at the same
just
time.
Girl.
The upside of failure with South African actress Katlego Danke. Your calls on 011 8830702 and the WhatsApp line 0727021702. We have touched on all the juggling of things and spoken about Papa, who is such a key role in your life. The one difficult thing about our industry is we never know what's going to happen. So even when your work is consistent, one thing that is top of our list of having to manage is finances. How did you navigate that space? Because I don't know a single person in our industry who did not have a dip somewhere where they're like, I could have done things so much better. Because when you are in the high, it feels like it's just going to continue as is.
True. I think finances is just, it's like a swear word almost. Right. It's a swear word. It's a swear word when you're black. It's a swear word when you're young. It's a swear word when you're doing well and you're
when
making
you're
all
a
this
woman.
money. And when you're a woman, it's a swear word, right? So I feel like there's so much that I didn't know that I really didn't make my business to know as well.
Yes.
I didn't want to know. So I kept myself out of knowing it. I was just like, we're just going to coast and get through it. Money will be money. Money
Yes.
will keep coming in. And we'll do whatever it is we need to do just to make sure the lights are on and all of this. But at the end of the day, I just feel like there's so much that we need to learn that I wish I had learned a little bit earlier. I wish like I had an interest when I was maybe a teenager and been like, okay, one day you're going to earn a salary. What you going to do with it?
Yes.
So that's the position I'm at now with my son, where I'm like, okay, now I'm actually going to be quite intentional about teaching him about finances early on. Let's have the conversations. Let's talk about what it means eventually. One day, you're not earning it now. Maybe it's just pocket money for now, but the principles apply. So for me, it's that. It's like saying, entertainment is what entertainment is when it comes to finances. You're always juggling. You're always trying to make sure you're staying afloat. You're always trying to balance everything out, because I think when you're making a lot of money, it's not balanced.
Yeah.
And then when you're not making a lot of money, it's still not balanced.
Yeah.
So you want to get to a point where whether you're making money or not, you've got some sort of balance where you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, at least let me keep one through line running through everything. Let everything just balance and be okay, whether I'm making money or not.
What have your feelings been, seeing various actors that we have worked with, Mam Nandi, various actors just speak about finding themselves in these positions. I mean, us being in the industry, we're not surprised at all. We know that it is a nice blessing when you're in a season of a guaranteed salary for X amount contract. But even then, you could be part of the 16 that SABC said, thanks, juices, bye to all of you, jobs are up. We're even just going to redo this whole thing from scratch. Does that make you more worried about your own future, or do you feel like, nope, I'm going to do things differently?
It doesn't make me more worried. What it does is it empowers me to see it differently. So for me, I just feel like there's a certain number of things that need to change within the industry, not just from a structural perspective, but also from the perspective of artists, the way we view ourselves, right? So if you view yourself as a business, you are a business, you are a walking business. Everything you do, everything you're going to do is going to make money from you. You are the vessel. So if you view yourself from that perspective, it's going to change and shift certain things and how you approach them. Certain conversations, for example, contract conversations.
And negotiations.
Are going to happen slightly differently. Now, I know we're in an industry where we have the take it or leave it conversation. There is no such thing as a contract negotiation. You get given a contract and you're expected to sign it. So there's no negotiation. You must just sign what you are given.
Yes.
Perhaps, maybe you can say, give me R2 extra. Maybe. But, and even then, it depends who you are to have that conversation. Sometimes you could ask for R2 extra and they go, well, we'll go next door. Thank you. Thanks, no thanks.
On that note, we're going to
Relebogile
take
is not worth it.
Literally. And that's the hardest part. So how have you acclimatized to the type of rejection that 23 years into this industry, you've had to be accustomed with? I mean, I was fortunate to get my very first professional audition. And in my mind, I'm like, ow, man, who easy, man.
Yep.
Yeah. And granted, I was still in high school. But that getting used to the rejection, which still continues even in different facets, whether you're sending a proposal out, doing a pitch, how have you managed to handle that type of rejection that feels like failure?
Fortunately for me, and this is why I always underline being trained in the craft. I always underline it to anybody who cares to come to me and ask, okay, how is it that I make a successful living out of the industry? I say, please, 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 for your sake and for mine, please go get some training.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, it gives you some sort of foundation to sort of build your career on. So when you have that foundation, you understand. We get told straight up, look to the left, look to the right.
Yes.
Only one of you is going to come out of this training program
Yes.
and make it and actually have a career in the industry. Only 1 in 3 of the people sitting next to you at varsity, right? And of that 1 in 3, only some of you are actually going to get jobs
Yo.
in the industry and actually have a long-term career consistently within the industry. Some are going to fall by the wayside along the way. So you get taught that rejection is just part of it. It's just the run of the mill. That's what it is. So as opposed to taking it personally and saying, okay, they're rejecting me, which it could literally be, I don't like her ears. Literally.
Yep.
That, like, they could literally not
Yes.
hire you because your ears are wrong.
Yes.
Like
literally.
it can be that petty,
Yes.
right? But
oh,
you've got
one
to
shade too light.
you're
Sorry.
just a little like
Yes.
she's just too light.
Yes.
We were looking for someone slightly darker.
Yes.
You know. So it can be that petty and down to that sort of detail. But you've got to have the kind of tough skin that says, you know, even though you're looking at my outer appearance and you're critiquing me, because that's who you are, right? You can't run away from that fact. But you've got to be able to bolster yourself up from the inside and say, okay, yes, you're looking at me and saying my ears are wrong, but I know my ears are not wrong. They're just wrong for the role.
Yes.
You need somebody with pixie ears. I don't got pixie ears.
Oh my gosh. I want to ask you a question, and I'm gonna do my best to not get crazy emotional. And I don't know if I even had the chance to tell you, but I was not able to attend Mom Connie's funeral, who, you know, was a mother to all of us. And after you spoke, I felt like you spoke for all of us. Just in terms of what she represented, the energy she brought onto set, her sense of humor, and just that lovingness. And obviously she played your mother on Gomorrah in what was a very difficult relationship between two characters. But what people won't know is how in between takes you were probably laughing most of the time.
Yep.
And taking opportunities to improvise and make fun of one another. And you spoke for all of us. Like, that was such a painful loss. And I know that people have this perception that women are catty and whatever the case may be, but we really have a sisterhood and a motherhood in our industry that we can never translate and communicate about these individuals who take care of us on these sets.
Sure. I mean, like I just did, I reflected on my backstage journey, you know, with Mam Grace,
Yes.
with Baby Tkele,
Yes.
you know. I've worked with women who have walked the journey of acting in a way that was a sisterhood, where they held me in those moments, because that was my first job backstage, right? And then, you know, Gomorrah was my first lead, where I was like the lead of the show.
Yes.
And Mam Connie just literally, like, every shoot, every conversation, even offset, you know, where she'd just be like, and I was, when she said my baby, it was my baby. Like, she meant it. Do you understand? I was my baby on set and off set, and I was my baby, you know. So I really felt held, and I really felt like she walked that journey with me, and she was able to say, my child, you know, people are talking here, they're saying this, ignore.
Yes.
Ignore. You continue, you're doing great, and supporting me in that role. And I feel like it's we don't speak about it enough, that there is a sisterhood, that there are women who are holding hands, that are walking this journey of entertainment together.
Yes.
And supporting one another, which is not the narrative that we normally get, you know, from women, about women. So it's nice to have that reflected every once in a while, where we know and we say, okay, there are these women, these titans, because for me, I mean, she was huge, you know. She's a legend.
Hello.
You know, I was like, I'm just blessed to be in a scene with her. Never mind to be acting such a long-term program with her. But even in those moments, she didn't make me feel like I was any less. She didn't make me feel like, you know, she was just Mam Connie, you know, and I was my baby. So
Oh, wow. Oh, may her soul rest in peace.
702.
The upside of failure.
Proof that a setback can lead to a step forward.
10 minutes to 3 o'clock, the upside of failure with Katlego Danke. And I'm going to go straight to the lines for those waiting so patiently. Les in Winchester, go ahead.
Hey, how are you? my ladies?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, we're good. Sarabi, how are you?
I'm very good.
She's so thrown.
I'm not thrown. There's only one person in the entire world who calls me Sarabi. Only one. Yes, Mufasa.
You know that's the only one. No, I had to call. And I just wanted to say to 702, we are very appreciative of this. It was first this after where she was recognized. And today, when I just got into the car and I was listening, and I said, wow, I'm going to park the car aside and I need to make a call and say, I'm very appreciative of what 702 is doing while the young lady is still alive. Yes, young. We're not just young.
Underline, highlight, neon lights.
I'm underlying. Yeah, so no, it's quite touching and very, it's a big thing, and I'm very happy that
thank you.
our radio station is doing this for her.
Oh.
Yeah, she's my Sarabi and she knows who she's talking to.
Oh, Mufasa we. Releboga Mufasa, Pastor T in Midrand, go ahead.
Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
Okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I think this should go to both of you. I mean, I've known both of you for many years. Relebogile from Fame and Kat since Backstage days. And I should say you have been a blessing and the purest form of a human being. And, I speak all the blessings upon your life and all the grace. You've always been genuine and remain being that person.
I will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor P.
Pastor man. Okay, the messages. Lebo, you are talking to my crush for life. Yay. I have loved her on Generations. Thank you for her contribution to South Africa. Another one says, afternoon, Relebogile. Sis Katlego is my favorite female figure, my role model, and I love her so much. Her presence in each story she tells, bless my heart. I can't get enough of watching her. May God bless her with many years of life and good health from Tintswalo in Randburg. What do you say to all of that love that you receive?
So overwhelming, but so touching as well. And I think for me, I always want to touch people in one way or the other with what I do, because I always say, we do it in a studio and then it goes on a screen, so you never really interact with people about their experiences about what you did. So it's beautiful to know that it's impactful and that your work is actually touching people's lives, and in one way or the other it makes a difference.
Now, there is no way I would not bring up motherhood with you.
Hey.
But before we get there, I have to just share on the note of sisterhood. I was on a set, I don't even remember when it was, a few months ago. And I was a newbie on the set. And Katlego babysat me. We were freezing somewhere in Houghton. And we were sitting by a heater and you kept asking if I'm okay. Doing the scenes over and over again. And much as people will be like, but you do this, like, it's not my primary world anymore. And I just have to say, we laughed, so many things. And I just have to thank you for that, because you've never ever been like, or like, you are just OC. On set, so I have to just give you the flowers for that, to say thank you. I still have anxiety going on sets and be like, can I even still act? Do people still? It's such a weird thing, the imposter syndrome thing. But motherhood, tell me everything. Do you remember us being in the dressing room at Isidingo talking about motherhood?
Girl.
And how rough.
Like, flames, guys, flames.
How have they changed your life?
In ways that I could never even be able to fathom or even put into words, right? So when I think about my life, and I did this exercise the other day. Like the other day, I'm looking at them playing over there, and I just went back in my life as to, okay, what did my life used to be before these people came along? And firstly, it was like a far-off memory that I couldn't really remember exactly how it was and what I did. But what I know is that my life didn't have as much value as it does now.
Ooh.
So now I really appreciate, and it can be for the worst of reasons, because kids are on you, and when I say on you, I mean, like, mothers will understand. They are literally
You're the
jungle gym. They are on you, right? So even when you're enjoying that moment of sunshine where they're not on you and they're on the couch, rather, then, you appreciate that moment. You value the fact that you can have a cup of tea, you can play, but also just your normal everyday things are no longer, they put in a different perspective. Do you know what I mean? There's priority, there's different things. So I appreciate it on a different level, and I appreciate my life differently. It's just different.
Please tell me the craziest thing any of your children said to you recently, because they say the wildest things.
Ooh, I would have to remember. Oh, no. I'll tell you an incident because I'm trying to wean my 2-year-old from breastfeeding.
No, you're
And
strong. You went 2 years.
if you meet my daughter, I think it'll make sense.
Yes,
You need
yes.
to meet her.
Yes.
Let me tell you the reaction. Because I said to her, you, okay, this week, no more booby. She burst out laughing. She was like, looked me dead in the eye, and she laughed. So I was like, okay, so I'm the joke now. And then my son joined in. He's like, is she laughing?
Yes.
And he joins in. So now it's like, I'm like, guys, but I'm serious. I'm like dead serious. Like, it's the end of breastfeeding. Like, can we just have this conversation?
My son's new one is he'll say to me, Mommy, I'm watching you. Good luck. Good luck. And then he leaves. I'm like, how? What did I do? Finally, another one saying you have my favorite there. Absolutely love her. And so much love coming for you. In closing, what is the biggest lesson you've learned about failure that you can share with all of us today?
Biggest lesson, it doesn't make you. Doesn't make you or break you. Regardless of what it feels like in the moment. Because sometimes we are so hard on ourselves.
Yes.
You'll go through this moment and you'll think it's the end of life as I know it. And we'll catastrophize it and we'll make it all these things in our head, right?
Yes.
That we think it's just bigger than what it is. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's there to teach you something. It's there to carry you through a certain passage of life. It's there to get you to the next point. And if you literally sit in it and you just listen out for the lessons, you'll make it through. And you always make it through.
Katlego Danke, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely love and adore you. Your flowers, your flowers, your flowers. Thank you for coming through.
702.
The upside of failure.
Proof that a setback can lead to a step forward.